So it's Tuesday. Obviously, that means the PS5 controller is unveiled. Okay, sure. Sony is strange sometimes. They randomly dropped the PS5 controller design on us, or did they? Because it seems like they put it out right before Inside Xbox. Okay, Sony, good move, I guess. But while I'm not going to necessarily talk about the design or any of that stuff in this video, that will be tomorrow morning in Newswave, 8 a.m. Eastern Time on the main channel. Go check that out. I'm going through quite a bit of the information about this controller, and there is actually a lot of stuff here to consider and go over. But something I did notice when I was taking a look at it is that Sony has done something here that I didn't expect, you probably didn't expect. They have decided, at least at this time, seemingly, to retire the DualShock branding. And it kind of makes sense if you think about it. Now, they're going with the name DualSense for the PlayStation 5 controller, and we'll see exactly what that entails overall. I have an idea, kind of. I mean, the DualShock name has been around since the PlayStation 1. This was in '98, so that would be 22 years just about that DualShock branding ran, and it's now been seemingly at this time, well, not discontinued yet, but it seems like when the PS5 comes around and they get to selling those controllers, they will slowly phase it out. Although I think they said that DualShock 4 controllers will work with the PS5, so who knows, maybe they'll keep selling it as like a cheaper alternative, because I can't imagine the PS5 controller will be very cheap. But yes, the DualShock's been around since the PS1, and then, of course, the PS2, PS3, and PS4. Now, the interesting thing about the PS3 is when it launched, it had the 6-axis, which a lot of people have pointed out, but the 6-axis was missing what was supposed to make the DualShock, and that was that it had no rumble. They added rumble back in, and then all of a sudden it became the DualShock 3, and it still had 6-axis kind of printed on it at the top because it still had kind of the gyro features and all of that, although no one really used the gyro stuff on the PlayStation controller. Anyway, at least I didn't. More so on the PS4 controller. But it kind of makes sense with the PlayStation 5 controller being called the DualSense and them moving on from the DualShock branding, as it seems to me anyway, the whole DualShock thing was that you had these very violent moving rumble motors, and they've been using pretty much the same idea for rumble since then, right? Over the PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4, it was just some spinning motors that would kind of oscillate and have this rumble going on. But the DualSense is going to have their own, the same HD rumble, quote unquote, the haptic feedback that the Switch Pro controller has. So I guess in a way, DualSense makes more sense, right? Because, well, I guess it has more of a sense to it than the rumble in the PS4 controller. We've kind of seen a little bit of this with HD rumble, where they can simulate different things and even make noise. We've heard these motors literally sing, you know, in some instances, like we had it kind of at the end of Kirby. I remember that. Mario will do like this chiming noise when it's your turn for Mario Party. So there's a lot of stuff going into the DualSense when it comes to that. It's very interesting to see Sony kind of turn the page on the DualShock controller and DualShock brand itself, because I was positive this was just going to be called the DualShock 5. Remember when those images leaked out about the PlayStation 5 controller and being next to the dev kit, and we were like, oh, that's the DualShock 5, right? That only makes sense. No, that was the DualSense, and you know what? Looking at it, yeah, that was just about the same look. It looks like it kind of was a prototype of the controller that we saw today. So I will be curious if this really is the end of the DualShock brand, one that most people can't remember a time before it existed. It did with the PS1, but not too long, about 3.5 years after the PS1 came out, Sony jumped on the DualShock branding and has been riding it ever since. This is kind of like uncharted territory for Sony, no pun intended, for their first party series. But yeah, this is different. This is new for the PlayStation brand, and I kind of like it. I kind of like the unknown right now going forward with Sony and the DualSense not being the DualShock. But I didn't really think about it right away until I kind of was going through the paperwork and the stuff they put out here for the press release, and I said, wow, they're really, yeah, DualShock is gone. They have the little trademark thing next to DualSense, and I'm like, wow, that really is it for something that a lot of people have grown up with this whole time. But let me know what you guys think about this down below with the DualSense. You might as well let me know what you think about the controller, although we're going to talk about it in Newswave tomorrow as well. So if you want to hold it off till then, you can. That's 8 a.m. Eastern time. Got a whole list of stuff to go over here with this controller and my thoughts on it. So make sure you guys tune in then. Make sure you like the video on the way out if you enjoyed it. Dislike it if not. And I'll see you next time.